Welcome back to the Manufacturing Alliance podcast. As always, I'm your host, Tony Demakis with Alliance Specialties in Laser Sales, where we are mold makers that don't build molds. We do all the other things that mold makers need: polishing, laser welding, laser engraving, hot runner repair, preventative maintenance, and we have a full line of laser welding and laser engraving equipment made here in the United States. A couple things that we've added. We added a new location in Macomb, Illinois. We're going to be doing laser welding primarily. That's for any kind of repair and a little bit of fabrication out there. And we also have the facility in California, which you guys should know about by now. And we also have a production welding department that is located in here in Illinois also. So if you have small quantities of parts that you need welded together, you need it engraved together, you're looking for a partner to grow with to help you get your product out to market, we are happy to talk with you. So yeah, you can contact me at tony@alliancelasersales.com, and I can help you out with that. And it would be great. It would be great to work with you. It's a little bit cold up in our little studio today. That's why I got the jacket on. But this is part of our new swag collection. You can't. You can kind of see it. Let's move that. No, not that way. This way. Yeah, there we go. It's hard. It's backwards in the camera, and that's fine. So yeah, if you come out and visit us, you get some swag, or if you just send us a message and give us some comments on the show, maybe you'll win a prize. You'll get some good gear. Maybe we'll get our guest to send you the book or something. I don't know. It could happen. Anything that I'm forgetting right off the top of my head? Oh, yes, it is a live show. And I see that there are a number of people that are watching with us. And we want to give you some opportunity to talk with us and join in on the conversation. So please, wherever you're watching, whether that's Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, place your comments in the chat and we will get to them. We will ask you those questions. And if you're not sure what to say, just put your name and your company and we will give you a shout out. And that'll be good for you and your company because everybody wants a little bit more recognition for themselves and their company. So we got a lot to cover today. It's going to be a little bit shorter of a show because our guest is important and has a lot of other things to do. And I'm just glad for the little bit of time that we have with him. So today we are talking to a guy that I met at the AMBA conference, and he inspired an entire room of people to play drums on a table with his story and everything he did. And I kind of cornered him afterwards, and we talked for like another 2 hours while he was waiting for his flight, and it was awesome. It's one of those things where like you meet somebody and you're like, we're gonna be best friends for life, even though I haven't seen him for a while. So today we're gonna talk with Clint Pulver. I'm gonna bring him in, and I'll give you some of his stats, but it's a lot, and that's gonna take up most of the show. So hold on one second. Clint, how are you, my buddy?
I'm doing awesome, Tony. Thanks for having me on.
Of course. You got the whole rock star look, the backwards hat, the whole thing. It just works for you.
Thanks, dude. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's awesome. We just got like the new swag stuff, right? And everybody was like, we need flat bill hats. And we got them. But I was like, I am too old for a flat bill hat. I can't. 45 years old. I don't think I'm ancient, but it just doesn't look right. It seems
I
like
bet you could pull it off, Tony. I bet you could pull it off.
I try. Yeah. I saw one of those, the Pinky Blinder hats, like the old, they're like a derby kind of hat thing. And I told my daughter, because it's cold here, I was like, I'm going to get one of those. She's like, you can't. You already look old. You can't get an old man hat.
Please no.
Yeah. So I respected her for that. So, yeah, for those that don't know, here's some stuff about Clint. He's a professional keynote speaker, author, musician, pilot, and workforce expert. Known as the leading authority on employee retention, Clint has transformed how corporations like Keller Williams, AT&T, McDonald's create lasting loyalty through his work and research as the undercover millennial, which is a really cool idea that I can't pull off. So awesome that you can. It would be awesome. Number one best-selling book. I love it here, how great leaders create organizations that people never want to leave. And professional drummer, which we kind of mentioned. Top 40 under 40, appeared on America's Got Talent, Emmy Award for a short film, Be a Mr. Jensen. You listen, that's too much stuff, man. It's not
It
fair.
is.
You make the rest of us look bad.
You could have just said husband and father. That would have been perfect. Yeah.
Well, you didn't put that on your bio.
Oh, darn it. I'll make sure we put that on there. That needs to be on there.
And husband and father. How's that?
Yep, yep, that is the most important.
So it looks like you have been wicked busy, uh, all over the place doing your thing.
Yeah, it's been a great year. It's been a great even last 2 years. I think we're finally getting to the point in my industry where things are kind of resembling, pre-COVID days, which is a huge blessing. Super grateful for that, and yeah, it's just nice to be back and doing live events and being with audiences and getting people together again. It's been wonderful.
And I think what I find most interesting is like I find you fascinating, and I love talking with you. And everybody that was sitting at our table, you know, afterwards was like, this was worth the price of admission. This alone, I'm glad we came for. But seeing how busy you are and talking to all these different organizations and everything, your message is resonating with a lot of people. What does that tell you about the state of things today?
I think business owners and just people in general are looking for ways to continue to be significant in their business, not just successful. They're looking for opportunities to create an organization as good as the people in it. How do you create a business where people don't just survive at work, but they thrive? And we're still in the world where you could literally throw a stone and you'll hit a business that's dying to find good talent and striving to keep the good talent that they have in their organizations. And so now more than ever, you see this really focused attention on creating an organization that people never want to leave, which is the through line for my research, my book, and everything that I talk about on stage.
Yeah. And that seems like it should be an easy thing, right? Creating an organization that people don't want to leave. And now more than ever, there's so much opportunity for people to leave.
Yeah, it's again that we talk about the war over talent. Well, the war is over. Talent won. Uh,
Yeah.
they won. It's now still an employee's market where they've got options, and if we're not willing to provide that opportunity where people like themselves best because they work for you, then I promise you they will go and find somewhere else to work if that's not the case. And so it's been a joy to share in the research that we've conducted and the actionable solutions behind what great leaders have done to retain people, to keep people, and to allow people to write a better story because of the company that they work for. Um,
Right.
yeah.
And so I know, so we started doing exit interviews. We didn't always do exit interviews. It was one of those things where if people wanted to leave, they left, and we never found out really why they left. And so we started doing that, and um, whether or not they were being honest with us, and that's something that I want to ask you about too.
Mhm.
A lot of times it's purely financial. I mean, and there's not you can't always compete with that. They're happy with their management. They're happy with the flexibility. They're happy with the added benefits and the things that we do as a company. But all of that comes with a cost too, and sometimes you just can't meet everything.
Yeah, I think there's a reality though that first needs to be stated, and it's this: the perception of leadership versus the reality of the employee experience is usually night and day different. Why? Because there's no incentive for an employee to tell you as the boss how they really feel.
Right.
Like, they're just not gonna tell you that. Even in an exit interview. Like, "I'm out, peace." Like, some people will, but the majority don't. And I'm just looking for better career opportunities, or, I just needed a little more money for me and my family. When in reality, a lot of the times it's, "I couldn't stand you as my manager, and I was tired of being micromanaged." I really wish you could know this, Doug. Every time we won as a team, you were the one that took all the credit.
Hmm.
And then every time we lost as a team, you're the one that blamed everybody else.
Right.
Happy Tuesday. That's really what a lot of them want to say. But they never tell you that because there's no incentive. That can get awkward. That can get confrontational. And again, I think that's the magic and the significance of our research with the Undercover Millennial program. For those that are watching that don't know, I'm a millennial. That's the generation I was born in. So I was young enough where I would go into organizations undercover as someone who was looking for a job. So I'd put my backwards hat on. I'd walk into your place of employment and I'd just say, "Hey, I'm just looking for work. What's it like to work here?" And the employees, they'd always get quiet. They'd kind of look around. Felt like an illegal drug exchange. And then they would tell me everything, everything, because I wasn't a manager. I'm not some employee survey. I was just a potential hire. And in doing so, over the hundreds of organizations that we worked with and thousands of employees that I've interviewed undercover, we were able to find the unscripted truth behind not so much why people were leaving, but really what I was interested in is the reason why they stayed. When the company down the street would offer them more money, would offer them even a better schedule, even a better, benefit package, and they chose to stay there.
Right.
Why? What were those leaders doing? And so that gave us the context and again, the unique insight into a lot of things that employees aren't telling their bosses.
And so let me ask, we try surveys, we try those things. You try and have a conversation with people during a review and say, is there anything I can do better for you? What do you need from me? How can I help you better succeed at your job, in life? How can I help? What does that look like? How do you get people to realize that you're sincere?
Yeah, that's a great question. So 77% of employees never answer honestly on an employee survey because they're always worried what's on the other side of the survey. Like whether it's paper, whether it's Survey Monkey, whether it's through some platform or an app, it's like, no way, I'm giving a safe answer just in case.
Right.
Because there's just there's so much variability in that. Um, and so I get the concept of like, okay, well then great. How do I do it? I want to do it as a leader. I want to learn how to do this better. How can I create this situation as a boss where people would actually open up and tell me how they really feel?
Yep.
And the key phrase in that is boss. And I
Yep.
would say when people hated their jobs, they talked about a boss. They talked about a manager. When an employee loved their job, they talked about a mentor.
Okay.
If you can become, as a leader, a manager, an executive, whatever it is in your leadership position, whatever title you hold, when you can become the mentor in the story, not just the manager, you change the game. Because then you become the advocate, not just the developer. You
Okay.
become the person that will connect them to something bigger than themselves. In our research, we found there were four types of bosses. Um, and how those four types of bosses equated into the effects that they created in the employees was based off of two things: that boss's ability to um, hold a level of standards and also their ability to create a level of connection. So
Okay.
standards and connection. So, for example, the first manager that we found was the removed manager. So, this was the individual that's low on standards, they're low on connection. These are the managers that should have stopped managing like 20 years ago. They're just tired, they're burnt out. So, what did that create in the employee experience? Disengagement. The employees became removed from the manager because the manager was removed. The second boss was the buddy manager. This was the manager that was really high on connection, low on standards. So what did this create in the dynamic? Entitlement. This is where the employees became more of the boss than the boss did because the boss was just a friend. The boss was just the homie.
Right.
The third one was the controlling manager. It's the most common that we found in our research. This was the manager that's very high on standards, low on connection. So very high on like getting it done, the duties, the responsibilities of the job. I need you to show up on time. We need to stay profitable. I need your effort. I need you to produce. I want to see numbers. Low on connection. I don't care about what you did on the weekends. Just do your job. I give you a paycheck. Smile. Tomorrow's going to be worse. That kind of a mentality. So, what does that create in the employee experience? Rebellion. Every time. Rebellion. This is where you have a boss that's going head to head with every employee. And then the last manager is the significant one that we focused a lot of our energy and research on, and I call them the mentor manager. This was the manager that was high on standards. We got to be profitable. Yes, there's a job to be done. Yes, there's customer service, there's safety protocols. But I also understand that you're a person to be loved. I also understand that you have a life outside of work, and it's my job to get to the part about you. So
Right.
what did this create in the employee experience? Respect.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really important dynamic to maybe as a leader ask yourself, which one are you? Because in this equation, we can talk about influence, we can talk about, trying to get people to love it here, but ultimately the only person that you can change is yourself,
Yeah.
right?
No.
Know that principle. So it starts with the leader and what the leader decides to become and do and create in a way that that employee would choose you. And that
Right.
is why mentorship over management is what was winning.
Now, let me ask you, when you are out there and you're doing all your research and you're going undercover and you're learning this stuff and you go back and you talk to the owners of the company, did they ever tell you like, no, I don't do it that way. I am a mentor manager. I do it this way. Like, I think a lot of times we have a hard time looking in the mirror and seeing the reality of what other people are seeing, right? Perception is reality. We're only what other people see us as.
Correct.
In our own minds, we may be doing all the things that we know that we're supposed to do because, we hear you talk, we hear the feedback that you get. And sometimes managers go, yeah, cool, I'm doing that. Now what? What am I missing? How do you get people to see they may not be living up to what they think they are?
Yeah, I think there's four basic principles that we talked about when we found mentors that were not mentors by their own declaration. They were mentors because the employees told us that they were mentors. So we asked, why? Why do you choose to follow them? And really, there were 5 C's that we came up with that we saw that when somebody chose somebody from the employee's perspective, they possess these 5 C's. So, number one, they were confident. Number two, they were credible. Number three, they were competent. Sorry, confident, credible, competent, and then candor. They had the ability to create relationships so strong that honesty could exist. And then five was the ability to care. So confidence, credibility, competence, candor, and the ability to care. Now, some managers will look at that and go, "Yeah, I do that. I'm all those things." The flip side to that I would maybe ask or advocate would be the 4 things that we talk about. Okay, you might feel like you're doing this, but let me tell you what people responded to when leaders were doing certain things. Because you might feel like you're the mentor in the story. And
Yep.
some people are. Some people really are. They've achieved that level and they're doing great. Um, but 4 things that we would always talk about is number one was sparking the possibility. How are you sparking the possibility for your people? So, how are you creating opportunities for recognition and growth? Recognition and growth. The second thing is how are you keeping it simple in your life? What are you doing as a leader to say no to a few things so that you can say yes more to your people? We talk about the power of a to don't list. How can you
I need to work on that one. That's a reality.
Yeah, because again, the leaders like we found great leaders for the most part. You know what you need to do. The significant leaders were the ones that were masterful at the things they needed to stop doing. And then number four, we talk about the power of a status interview. Super critical, really important piece to understand the status of your people. And there's a 3 question process in that status interview that we talk about. That if you're the mentor in the story, you will find invaluable feedback, insight, and comments based off of these 4 questions that you conduct in a status interview.
So
And then the last one, yeah,
let me ask you real quick before you do the last one. In the status interview, you just told us that it's hard to get people to be honest with their
mhm,
answers.
uh-huh.
How do you get people to be honest in this interview?
Yeah, if you are the manager or if you are the boss in the equation, they will never tell you. You'll never know because you're
Right.
just the manager. Now, if you are the mentor, again, we're trying to kind of figure out whether you're the mentor or not. Maybe you think you are as the manager. Well, this is a great test to figure out if you really are. So you sit down. This is how the status interview works. The status interview is simply a time for you to check their status, not
Okay.
yours, not your business's. This was not a performance review.
Yep.
What you do is the key to this is you sit down. You could do it over the phone. You could do it on a walk. You could do it at dinner. You could do it in the office over Zoom. Doesn't matter. And you begin the status interview with vocal praise.
Okay.
It's key because you've got to create psychological safety for that individual in that meeting. So you sit down and you just let them know, listen, I'm here today to tell you what I see when I look at you. I want to tell you what I see you becoming. I want to tell you why you matter in our company. And I'm going to give you 4 or 5 reasons in how that's true and how
Yep.
that plays a vital role into our business. And then after you do that, you ask them these 3 questions. Number 1, what can I do as your manager to keep you here? Question number 2 is, what is getting in the way of your success at work? How can I make this easier? How can I make this better for you? What's getting in the way? And then the third question is, what can I do to help you get there? How can I be the advocate? So number 1, what can I do to keep you here? Second, what's getting in the way of your success? And third, what can I do to make all of this possible? And then you just listen.
Yeah.
The wild part about this is those 3 questions are usually never asked to an employee unless it's in the exit interview.
What could we have done to keep you to stay? What were we
Totally.
missing? Why were you unhappy?
Yep, and
But
then
it's
it dawns on you.
right?
Yeah, it dawns on you, and you go, "Oh my gosh, I should have asked these questions 6 months ago."
Yeah.
And the employee's already gone. They
Right.
mentally checked out, like, they're like, you've missed that opportunity. And I know some people, I always like to kind of play devil's advocate, and everything that I share and teach in my research, I always love to think in that realm to some degree because I always feel like there's a manager or a boss out there that thinks in this way. Well, Clint, what if I ask all these questions, and what if I'm afraid to get the answer? What if they come back to me and they're like, "Okay, I'll trust you, mentor, in this story. Okay, you wanna keep me here? Give me a 20% increase in pay. Give me a big corner office, huge windows, couple beanbag chairs, free Cheetos, I'll stay. Give me some ski passes."
Yeah.
What's getting in the way of your success? Fire 3 of my other teammates and I'll stay. Like, and you go, "I can't do that. Like, I
Right.
can't do all the things that you're asking for." What the status interview gives you the opportunity to do is to look for variables. So first off, if you can do the things they're asking for, great. Maybe that's a great opportunity for you to acknowledge and recognize and grow an employee. If it's not feasible, if it's not in the budget, if it's not operationally just savvy, or it just isn't going to work, then look for variables. So maybe they want 20% increase in pay. You're like, I can't do that right now, but maybe we can work on some flexibility with your job. Maybe
Right.
we can put you on a growth trajectory for some management opportunities so you can make a little more money. Like it gives you the chance to have the conversation. And then at the end of the day, if when all of this is done and over with, if you can't find anything, then at least you asked.
Yeah.
At least you asked.
And I also think it's like any other relationship, right? Sometimes it's just not the right fit. And that's okay too. I think it's okay to look at somebody and say, "You're right. You should go explore other things."
Yep.
Obviously, what we're offering and what you want are 2 different things. It's never going to be compatible. I care about your growth and your success as a human. I don't think it could be found here. That's okay. Good luck.
Yep. And sometimes, it's our job in leadership to coach people in. It's also your job in leadership to coach people out.
Sure.
And that's 100% a part of this equation. And again, you can be the mentor in coaching somebody out of your business as well.
Yeah, I think that's I mean, there's been times where, you have to help somebody leave, really, right?
Yeah.
And you want to follow up with them. You want to see how they're doing. You want to interact and you want to make sure that they're doing okay. But you kind of lose that right. I've reached out to people afterwards and just try and touch base, see how they're doing, if they need anything. And I don't know if it's well received. I don't know if it's seen as shallow or hollow or whatever, but I don't think I've ever gotten a response back. So you do what you can, I guess.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You can only control you in this equation. So be the best version of you for that person.
Yeah.
Even if they're leaving, maybe they only stay 2 months or they might stay 2 years. But in the time that they're with you, you have a stewardship and an opportunity to bless their lives. You can be a positive light and help them to write a better story, however long that is, even if it's in your company or not out of your company.
Well, I don't even think it's just an opportunity. It's a responsibility, right? I mean,
Sure.
we're called to care for the people in our organizations and around us. It's not a it's not something that we have an option in, right? If somebody is under our care and they're working with us for us, we need to care about them. We need to help them. We need to do those things. And if we're not willing to do that, then you probably shouldn't be in a leadership position or management position
Yeah.
or authoritative position at all.
Yeah. Or be okay with the revolving door of turnover that's going to constantly happen in your organization, or be okay being a solo entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's and you and I were talking about it afterwards and how, none of these your book is great. I have to read your book. I got to buy your book. And all the concepts are great, but they're not new concepts. They're very old concepts about caring for people and loving people and looking after people. It's nothing new. It's just putting those things into practice and not just saying them, but actually believing them and living them and making them part of your core of who you are, not for your good, but honestly for their good.
Yeah. I've always said the coolest part about your job as a leader is that it matters. The
Yeah.
hardest part about your job as a leader is that it matters every day.
Yeah.
And that's the hard part is consistency. How do you do small things consistently over a long period of time? That's the key to leadership. It matters every single day.
Every
Uh,
single day and every single moment and every single interaction with every single person.
yeah, and leaders will hear that and think, "Okay, I don't have time for that," or,
Yeah.
or that's just literally like nice idea, easier said than done. And they're right. They are right. They are right. But when it becomes a part of who you are, when you learn certain things that work, when it's a part of your personality, when you truly learn to see the individuals in your organization, not just as employees, but as people, over time it changes. It becomes not a drudgery. It doesn't become something that drains you. It becomes something that fulfills you. It's something that you wake up in the morning and that's the focus. That's the priority, and that changes that dynamic. It becomes more possible and it becomes more joyful
Yeah.
when you realize what you're doing.
I realized that during COVID, I was on a good, I felt like I was doing the things I was supposed to do pre-COVID. That was my focus was all the people. And then during COVID, it was like, how do we stay afloat? How do we maintain the fact that we are essential business? How do we keep work
Yeah.
coming in? How do we keep people employed? How do we do this? How do we do that? And part of the people aspect, and I'll say this for myself, kind of fell off a little bit.
Hmm.
It crushed me because every month we have an employee lunch, team lunch. We talk about all the positives. We have a box of awesome that my daughter designed for us. It's it's so much fun. It's awesome. But during COVID, all of that stopped. And so and you couldn't go you weren't really going near people. And so it was hard to bring that positivity to people and let them know that they were cared for and that this was still happening and it's still the same thoughts. And every month I was like, can we do it this month? And everybody be like, no, it's probably not a good month. And I was like, man, this sucks. We got to get back to it. We got to get back to it. And I was itching, and I realized that just because we couldn't do that didn't mean I couldn't do the other stuff that was meaningful to people. And I had to look at myself and say, okay, I need to cut these things from my life so I can really give my attention to the people that need my attention when they need it. Not, you know, come back in 2 hours. Right now I'm too busy for you.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, I think it comes down to time, right? Employees spell mentorship Time. And granted, they can't spell that well, but that's how they spell it. Time. Time.
Well,
I
in
never
fairness, either can I.
There you go. I and I think it's important to say this. In all of my research and the thousands of employees that I interviewed, I never had one employee ever tell me, "I love to work here. I stay here because my boss is just so good at time management. Like, he's just the best." Or
Vanessa's not gonna if you ever talk to Vanessa, she's not gonna tell you that.
yeah, she's not gonna say, "Oh, Tony's just he runs the best meetings. He's always on time. We never end on time, but he's always on time." Like, no, they don't say that. That's
She's
not what they
laughing so hard, you
there you
just
go.
can't see her or hear her.
I love it. I
It's
love
like
it.
you know me.
Yes. But what they do talk about, Tony, are the times when you got to the part about them.
Yeah,
They talk about the moments. They talk about when you said no to a few things so that you could say yes to them. They talked about moments when you advocated for them, moments when you sat down and you said, "What matters to you? And how can we as a business align ourselves to help you get there?"
right,
Moments. We don't remember days in the workforce, we remember moments. And the great leaders, the significant ones, the ones that you never forget that really become the mentors are the ones that became masterful at creating moments, at
right.
being the person that people liked themselves best because they were with you. And that is an intangible. That is something that we cannot trace. That is something we cannot quantify. But to people, it's what they talk about.
Yeah,
It's what matters to them. And um, I don't know. It's every time that is what people focused on. And I think sometimes in leadership we want to see the data, we want to see the metrics, and the fact is a massive part of leadership and mentorship is found in the intangible sides of what you do.
right.
Um,
My mom used to tell us all the time growing up, "Don't tell me you love me, show me that you love me."
yeah,
You can say anything. What are you actually doing? What are your actions saying, right?
yeah,
Um, faith without actions is dead. It doesn't matter. You can say whatever you want. What are you going to do?
yeah.
How are you going to put that into practice?
And
Um,
sometimes, though, I will say, even saying it can be wonderful.
yeah,
I mean, vocal praise was one of the biggest things that employees talked about that they loved, and it costs you as a business owner $0.
right,
Like, what if you could systemize recognition that one time a week on a Wednesday, you put in your phone a reminder, hey, send one text out to one of your team members. Send an email just reminding somebody of the value that they have in this company. Send an email recognizing them for the good that they are doing and for the
right.
good they are. Like that simple thing, uh, it moves mountains in the lives of your people and what they remember and how they feel seen, heard, and understood.
So let me ask you: Does that ever? Hmm, does it ever to the people that you talk to, does it ever start to feel old? Like it just becomes commonplace. It's not appreciated as something rare and unique anymore. It's just, great. I talk about it sometimes on how, what was once a miracle just comes commonplace. You just get used to it. It's just whatever. Whatever. Yeah, you say that, but whatever. I'm over it.
I
It
think
wears
and
off.
I think when the words are attached to a moment or they're attached to an event or they're attached to a win or something that is not a routine, right?
Okay.
I talk about in my book that recognition should always be attached to effort. That you're
Okay.
not just recognizing someone to recognize them because that's just what we do. We just throw a weekly lunchathon and we bring lunch into the office for no reason. That becomes routine. That becomes mundane. But when it's attached to effort, when it's attached to something that's gone above and beyond, when it's something that they did that they've never done before, when something was achieved that just hadn't been, that's a moment that will never become routine. That will
Sure.
never become dull. That will never become mundane because their efforts and their contributions in the workplace are filled with those opportunities. It's your goal as the leader to recognize those opportunities. And if they're not happening, how do you create an environment where those opportunities could happen more?
Yeah.
That is, I believe, a huge key to that process.
Yeah, yeah, and
There's
that
so many opportunities that are not mundane or dull.
yeah, and really we just gotta get out of our own way, right? Keep our head up, get our head out of our phone or our daily routine or our activities, and as a leader, have your head on a swivel to see what's actually happening around you and identify those successes. They're not that hard to find. I'm a big fan of celebrating everything. I mean, I want to celebrate every little accomplishment there is. We got the calendar finished. Cool. Let's celebrate. We got the calendar, the printer. Cool. Let's celebrate. Oh, well, there's only one mistake. Cool. There was a lot more opportunity for mistake. There was 365 days in that year. We could have messed up every single one of them. There's only one. Let's celebrate it. That's okay. It's all
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. But you have to remember too, though, if every day is your birthday, if
Yeah.
every day is Christmas, then sometimes Christmas doesn't have the value that it once does. We
And that's what I was
celebrate.
asking about. Does it
Yeah.
become monotonous, mundane? It loses its flair.
Yeah, and I think too much celebration just to simply celebrate or to celebrate because your perspective deems this a celebration. Um, a moment is not something that happens every day. It is
Okay.
not mundane. It is not routine. A moment is unique. It is significant. It is not the mundane. It is out of the ordinary. It's something that stands out.
Yeah.
And so in your recognition, I would focus on celebrating those truly unique and different moments that don't happen every day, that don't happen even on a weekly basis. I
Hmm.
think if every leader right now pushed pause and they looked at each of their, like a manager, they looked at their direct employees
Sure.
and they took 10 minutes and they wrote down three things that they have seen that that employee has contributed to, added to, helped with, or exceeded. What write them down, write them down. That would give you 6 weeks of text messages, emails, um, gifts, awards, accolades, um, so many things that you can do with those things for each of your employees that I promise you would get you 10 times the investment of bringing lunch into the office or uh, even giving them more money. Like there's a point to purpose, passion, and the ability to provide. I call those the three P's that every employee is looking for. If
Okay.
I don't have passion in my job, I don't feel like I love to do this, I'm gonna have a hard time.
Yep.
Second, purpose. How do we add a sense of purpose? How do we help them to feel bigger than themselves, to do something bigger than themselves? And then three, the ability to provide in a way that's sufficient for them. If you can't do those three things as an organization, then you're really going to struggle. Your people are going
Yep.
to struggle. You're not hiring for those three P's for people that can innately do that. They find those three P's in your job, in your workplace. It's going to be an uphill. It's going to be an uphill battle. But I think so much of what we do in the purpose and passion sphere is found in those small moments that we create.
And I mean, I don't want to tell your whole story because we're going to run out of time then, but those moments were created when you were a child.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all have moments as children. I mean, my moment for me, one of the defining moments was when I was young. I had a hard time sitting still. I still have a hard time sitting still. I would constantly move. I would tap on things. Everybody saw the annoyance, the issue, the problem of just a kid that couldn't sit still. And I had a teacher that told me to stay after class. I thought I was getting kicked out of school, and he said, "Listen, I've watched you, and you'll take a pen and you'll start writing with your right hand, and then you'll tap with your left hand, and then you'll switch the pen. You'll start writing with your left hand. You tap with your right hand." He said, "I think you're ambidextrous," and I had no idea what that meant. And he said, "Listen, I want to ask, have you ever thought about playing the drums?" And I was like, No." He goes, "Listen, I don't think you're a problem. I just think you're a drummer."
Yeah.
And he opened up his desk and he took out my very first pair of drumsticks and he put them in my hands and he said, "These are for you." And he said, "Don't put them down and let's just see what happens." And that was 23, almost 24 years ago. And um, man, I've been a professional drummer for a long time now because of a moment where somebody saw something in me that I didn't even see within myself.
Yep.
From a moment where a leader communicated potential and worth in a intangible but also tangible way with the drumsticks,
Right.
and transformed my life in a moment.
And I mean, I shared this with you, but after that, I went home. My son plays drums, and he had a set that my parents got him before, and then he upgraded them. And I went home and I said, Jack, you got to watch this. So we put it on your YouTube stuff, and we watched it. I was like, isn't it amazing? He's like, yeah. And then we have a kid that's in our Awana group who was kind of the same thing, right? Like all over the place. We would do verses, and he's like jumping, and I'm like, sit, stop, hold on, just give me 1 minute here, just hold on. And he was a good kid. He's a good kid. And I said, Jack, what if we bring your drum set? What do you think? And he was like, I love it. Let's do it. And so I called his grandma, and I talked to her, and she said, really, you guys would do that? I was like, yeah, Bobby's a good kid. Let's do it. And so we went over there. We gave him the drum set. My son sat with him for a little bit. And, I don't know. He has not taken lessons yet. I don't know if he's still playing, but whether he's playing or not, what it did is it changed our relationship. Right. And now, Bobby's my guy now,
Yeah,
and we're in sync. So even if he's acting up in a different way, I can have a different kind of conversation with him, and he trusts me in a way that he didn't before.
totally.
I was just the guy at Awana. Now I've formed a memory and a moment with Bobby where, if something's bothering him, he can tell me, and we can have a conversation, and we can get past that.
No significant loyalty will ever happen without significant connection. And you demonstrated that, right? You
Yeah.
created significant connection, which then created significant loyalty, where he looks at you and goes, cool, you're the mentor in the story. And that's what's winning.
Yeah, it's awesome. All right. You got 2 minutes. We always end the show with a prayer. Do you have any prayer requests? And if you're listening, do you have any prayer requests? Go ahead and put them in the chat. I'm trying to get Clint out of here.
I love it. I love it. Let's just pray for good health and peace and yeah, I think health right now, man. So many people are sick.
Yeah. Again.
RSV's going around. It's yeah. Let's do that.
All right. We're going to pray real quick, and then we'll get you out of here. I'll wrap this
Okay,
up. So, Heavenly
let's do it.
Father, thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for putting Clint in my life and in the lives of so many other people. Thank you that you gave him a moment with an individual that changed his life and has changed lives countless numbers. And it's not accidental, it's intentional. It's your purpose. It's your passion for us, your people. We just pray that you would keep us healthy, that you would keep us safe, and that you would give us people in our lives that we can trust, that can be mentors for us in all areas of our lives. And if we are in a position where we need to be the mentor, that you would stir it in our hearts and give us the passion to love people and see them as people with needs, and that you would get all the glory. And it's in Jesus' name we pray.
Amen.
My guy. Hey, are you going to be in Chicago ever?
We're putting together the 2023 tour right now. I don't know if there's any Chicago dates, but man, I will for sure let you know.
Yeah, I'd love to have you come by, buy you dinner. You can see the facility. You're a household name now. It's going to be very difficult for you to sneak into places. You're gonna have to train somebody else
Yeah.
and add some diversity to your crew.
Yes, we will. Yeah, you never know. You never know who's walking in looking for a job.
Yeah, I guess I got to be on my guard. Real quick, we once did a job interview. This poor guy came in the day of our Halloween party. So we did a job interview. I was in a dinosaur costume. My mom was dressed as a nun. My dad was like a Catholic bishop. And my partner was dressed as himself in high school. And this poor guy was like in a tie, and he didn't know what was going on. But
I love it. I love it. That's a great story. Those are the stories you gotta write a book about one day. I'd
I,
read
I
it. I'd
I'm
read it.
working. I'm working on one. I'll tell you about it later.
I love it. Okay.
All right, buddy. Hey, thank you for everything you do, for your passion, for your love for people, and for the ways that you've changed my life for the better and helped me to be better to the people around me. So, love you for it. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you, Tony. Means a lot.
Have a
Bye,
good one.
everyone.
Whew, that's a lot of stuff. I love that guy. I need to hang out with him more. Unfortunately, he's in Utah. I've never been to Utah, but if he's got free time, I'll come hang out with him too. It would be awesome. It's so great when you go to these conferences, whether it's the AMBA or whatever. I mean, that's where we met Allison before, and you actually take the time not just to hear the speaker, but go and have a conversation afterwards, because there's so much more that you can learn than they can give you in an hour in front of a room of 500 people. And that's really what it's about, is forming connections with more people, learning how you can better yourself and the people around you. And I thank Clint for his time. Obviously, he's a busy guy. This is like the earliest we've ever finished a show, I think, which is something. Richard Evans, my guy from RPS, was listening. Here's his mug. Thank you for keeping me hydrated. Once again, you're one of my favorites. Nice job on that interview with Christina, by the way. Good job on that. I don't have anything else. There's no comments in the show. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it. Do me a favor and like the show if you like the show. Write some comments on YouTube or on iTunes if you're just listening to it. We want to grow the show as much as possible, and we have some ideas on things that we want to do going forward to not just make this a show where you can listen, but an opportunity where you can get involved in the community and actually make a difference. So I haven't really told Vanessa about this yet. She's probably wondering what the hell I'm talking about. But I promise you it's good. And the first opportunity may be coming up in February. Again, she doesn't know about this yet. She's going to kill me. But if you were at, where were we? Oh, the molding conference and the mold making conference, which is a great time. Nice job, Gardner. Appreciate everything you did there. I did mention it to a few people and they were all in. So it's going to be exciting. It's going to be fun. It's going to be something where we can actually make a difference, a tangible difference in the lives of other people as individuals and as organizations. So more on that to come. But on behalf of myself, Alliance, Clint, and yeah, I guess everybody else. I don't know who else I'm talking about. Vanessa. On behalf of Vanessa, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Take care, and God bless.